So as like we've been delving into what it means like to be part of the LGBTQ community as a Jew and as an Orthodox Jew, I wanted to ask you, like, what do you feel like? Do you feel connected to the entire community, or do you still feel like you're in this small bubble of Orthodox Jewry and you kind of know gay people and like that's really it?
So actually, like, towards the end of my army service, I would say like within the last 6 months or so, I've become really in touch with the gay Orthodox community here in Yerushalayim, which is unfortunate because I no longer live in Yerushalayim, but I was introduced by my adopted family. I was introduced to a friend of theirs who is gay and is very involved. And then through him, I've been invited to like all these different meals. So I come randomly for Shabbatot just to meet more gay Orthodox Dati people in Yerushalayim. And there's actually so many people, and I would have never realized. And it's a very close, tight-knit community, but they're always welcoming to the next person who wants to come in. You know, there's a newcomer, they accept them right away and they say, come in, come to the community, be part of it. And it's their way of saying, like, you know, we don't want people to be leaving Orthodoxy. Some people are leaving Orthodoxy just because they don't feel welcome. So their goal is to make a comfortable environment for these people to, Dati people, to be able to come and be gay and be open, and everyone's okay with it.
Yeah. Do you feel like at these meals, do you also have like trans people and, you know, people throughout the spectrum of LGBTQ and not just like gay Orthodox men?
So the couple that I've been to have actually only been like gay Orthodox men. Mm-hmm. But I know there was one time that I went to a Shalosh Seudos, and it was for like, there was a couple of lesbian couples there as well. Yeah. And I know that they are welcoming to like LGBT, like all of LGBT. It's just the ones that I specifically have gone to were just Dati men. Got it. And like they do sometimes of just lesbians, I think just gay guys, and I don't know so much about it. I'm so new to it that I really can't give like an accurate description of what the community is like. But as far as I know, they are very open and very welcoming to everyone. Yeah.
Like, I just wonder, like, within, like, just, like, from your perspective, like, at school or maybe just in Jerusalem, like, do you feel like there's a diverse group of people? Like, is there always, like, let's say on campus, I know at Hebrew U, where I study, like, there are groups for LGBTQ, and, like, they really work on, like, making sure that there's, like, a diverse group of people there. Like, I don't know about, like, where you're at. Like, I wonder. So
I'm actually just going to be starting Bar Ilan next week.
Yeah.
So I don't know yet. I haven't actually asked around. I've met a couple people who are gay and from Givat Shmuel, but it's not a very large community. It's really funny. I was actually at a Sukkot party here in Yerushalayim, and that was for everyone, LGBT, trans, lesbian, gay, everyone. And I met this couple, and I was like, "Oh, where are you from?" And they're like, "Givat Shmuel." I was like, "No way, I'm from Givat Shmuel. Where do you live?" And it turns out they two live like 2 blocks away from me.
That's a small.
Yeah, it was. I was like, "Well, what?" They're like, "Well, how are you getting home tonight?" I'm like, "I'm not. I'm staying here, but I'm staying in Yerushalayim for the night." But like, it was such a coincidence because before them, I'd only known one guy, and he wasn't the greatest of guys. Right. And, you know, after a while, him and I broke contact, stopped talking, like, you know, and I was pretty upset. I felt pretty alone, like, oh, I'm the only gay guy in this city. Right. But it turns out I'm not alone, so it's all good.
I have a question. What do you think, like, as a community in Israel and Givat Shmuel and Jerusalem in America, like, what do you think as a Jewish community we can do to be more welcoming and more sensitive and accepting of our LGBTQ people? Like, there are for sure people in every single community who are either out or closeted, and like, what should we change? Like, what should we aspire to do to make it a more like even, equal playing field?
You know, I really couldn't. I would just say, like, you know, opening your doors, like, not caring if, you know, someone's gay, like, so what? You know, it's none of your business, and just, you know, minding your own business. To, like, there's certain things that, you know, not just being gay, but like other things that people in the Jewish community can be very judgmental about and say, oh, we're not accepting you because of that. Yeah. And it's just, it's not okay. I think really we as a people should be less judgmental to everyone. And that would help create like such a better environment. I mean, for me, coming out in the city that I was in, I was nervous because there was my neighbors across the street, their son is gay, and he hardly ever goes back to Pittsburgh to visit his parents because of his experience that he had there. But for me, I don't think anyone's really said anything against the fact of me being gay, just because my father is the executive director of like one of the two main shuls there, and my mother's the director of development for the Kollel of Jewish Learning.
Right.
So, you know, people aren't exactly going to throw hate towards me just because of who my parents are. And for me, like, that's really lucky that I was in that position. But on the other hand, that's so unfair to so many other people who, like, honestly, if I were to get engaged, my father would not hesitate to put my engagement in the shul announcement. And very few people will probably speak up against him about it because he's the one who writes those shul announcements every single week. Right. And he's the one who dictates, you know, for the most part, what goes in and what doesn't. So most people aren't really going to say anything against it. But, you know, somebody else in the community whose gay son got engaged, you know, they might not. I mean, my father would definitely print it and be like, yes, for sure, we will do that. But, you know, the guy before my father would have never have done that. He would have never allowed that to be in the announcements. Yeah. So I think it's just, you know, my luck that I had with my parents being who they are and being the amazing people that they are, and how accepting they are, that the rest of the community just kind of said, you know what, we can't say anything against it.
Yeah. Like, do you feel like not just like you were very lucky with like the parents that you have and the community that you were raised in and all that, but do you feel like we're changing, like, as a community, that we're getting better? Like, sometimes, like, as a woman, I feel like we go back and forth all the time. Like, sometimes I feel like the Jewish community as a whole moves forward in large leaps, or sometimes I feel like we move backwards like crazy. And like, I wonder if that's something that you feel like, if we're progressing as a Jewish community, or are we not, or...
So I think in the modern Orthodox community, we are, where people are definitely becoming a lot better with those kinds of things. But in the more yeshivish world, they're not. Like, there's the movie that just came out, Disobedience, which I totally forgot to mention earlier. But, you know, it's kind of true. Like, people who are gay or lesbian are ostracized from the community in the yeshivish world. They're kicked out, and, you know, everyone they know and love breaks all contact with them. And, you know, they can be prevented from seeing their children if they have them. They lose touch with with their parents, their siblings, everyone who they know and love. And it's just, I think that's completely horrible. You know, I actually met a lone soldier in the army who came from a Haredi world, and he's in the army because he originally had like an issur not to do it, but he went and he fought to go to the army because he's gay, came out to his parents, they threw him out, he had nowhere to go, nowhere to live, but he knew that he could do the army and he could get help. And, you know, he was one of the lucky ones who realized that and went for it. And that's just like how he survived. but you know, a lot of people aren't as lucky, and I think that, you know, the yeshivish world should probably look to the dati, the modern Orthodox world, and see like they are becoming more accepting with certain things and more tolerable, and you know, to my, like, something that my mother said is she would never be able to throw her child out of the house, and any mother who can do that is just a mother who never loved her child.
Yeah.
Because you can't, she said you can't just, like, as a mother, she could just never do that. She could never imagine doing that.
Yeah, I feel like that's part of the luck that you've been born with. Is that, like, you have been privileged really with parents who love you absolutely, period, without any ifs, ands, or buts. And I feel like a lot of people who might be listening to this, who might be closeted, might be scared to find out, if not, like, if maybe their parents wouldn't do that, or if they would. And like, it's, I feel like sometimes, like, you have to test your parents, and like, you don't know until where their love reaches. And I feel like we all hope our parents are like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really lucky.